Today you see a pull-up skirt with 8 panels, 8 gauze if you will. The one I made took extra time, extra dedication because of one detail in the print, and it was totally worth it. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today I have a pull-up skirt to share with you that's super easy to sew. It could be super easy to sew, it could take no time at all, or it could take hours upon hours like it took me, but that was just my choice because of the print on my fabric, which was totally worth it. It also means I only have one to share with you. Could have made multiple more if I'd chosen the easier option. What I'm talking about is the Symphony skirt from Pattern Emporium. This pattern is 50% off for one day. I will leave all the information at the top of the comment section, pinned, and also in the description box when the sale ends. This starts at 6 a.m. Friday in Australia, but in this area of the world, it's Thursday afternoonish. Also, when you go to the website on the top, you'll see a countdown. You see how much longer the sale goes for, so you don't get confused. If you end up clicking on my affiliate link and purchasing, I do receive a small commission back from the designer. It's one of the ways I make an income creating helpful videos on YouTube, and you don't pay any extra for that. It's just one way that you can support my work. And this skirt is for knit fabrics. It's a paneled skirt. It's got 8 full panels all the way around, 4 in the front, 4 in the back. Each of these panels is not just one pattern piece, because I've certainly done that before where there's just one pattern piece that you cut 8 out of. No, this is different. You have a center front, you have a side front, you have a center bag, you have a side bag. Out of all those, you cut 2 pieces each, and that makes up for the 8, which makes it super well shaped on the waist and the length of the back as well. The way you finish the waist on the top is super easy. It's just longer on the top. You sew an elastic and then you flip it to the inside. But I've changed mine. I'll show you what I've done to mine just because I like yoga waistbands instead. The way I did it, no one will ever know. It'll still end up the same height. It's just got a different type of waistband that I prefer. Now, lengths, you can do a flirty length, which is above the knee. You can do a knee length. You can do a maxi length. And as for the width of these, because they are all fitted at the waist and hips, around the upper thigh, mid-thigh, it starts flaring out. You can do the regular or the full circle. The full circle, the panels will be super flared out so that at the bottom you get a really, really nice amount of swoosh. Imagine the fullness you'd get with a maxi with the full circle skirt. Yeah. So I'm sticking to the regular and the knee length because that's what I mostly like, and it's what I've been accustomed to wearing all the time. It's what I'm most comfortable with. But know that you have all of those options. You'll see that mine has a good amount of volume at the bottom as well, even just being the regular one and not the full skirt. I'm not a person that wears full skirts ever, so let's keep it consistent. But if you love them, the option is there. You need knit fabric for this one, light to medium to even heavyweight, 50 to 100% stretch. It's nice and fitted, so you need that 50% stretch horizontally. Vertically, you don't need much, just some give. And here you have tons of options, you know, cotton lycra, rayon spandex, bamboo spandex, modal spandex. These tend to fit looser and longer than what you think because of the amazing vertical stretch that these have as well. Double brush poly, ITY, swim, athletic knits. If you want a flare that's super dramatic, go for something heavy like a Liverpool or a Ponte Roma. It'll still be nice and fitted up here, but then the flare is going to be super dramatic if you like that look. You could do that if you wanted to. If you want to do the elastic finish that the pattern has originally, you need 1.5 inch elastic. I'm not using that. I'm using the same fabric to make my yoga waistband. Now the fabric I'm using is perfect for the yoga waistband because it's an athletic knit, medium to heavy. There's 10% spandex in the blend and 90% polyamide. So there's going to be amazing stretch and recovery, which is what you need when your waistband doesn't have an elastic inside. So you couldn't really do the hack that I'm going to do with a rayon spandex, with an ITY. It wouldn't work. The best fabrics for these types of waistbands are cotton lycra or athletic knits. At least that's what I use and I've had great results with. But then if you use the method of the skirt, which just has the elastic sewn on the top, then don't worry about that. This is just what I did with my hack. This is an older pattern, so the full size range that the newer patterns is not here on this pattern. You have from 6 to 22 Australian, which goes up to a 49-inch hip. To choose my size, super easy. I plotted my measurements down there on the chart, chose my size. I'm a size 16 Australian. I made 0 changes for personal fit, just chose the length that I want. For each of these lengths, you have different cut lines. So if you want the flirty version, which is the shorter one, you have a hem length for short, regular, and tall. And vice versa. So there's lots and lots of cut lines for the hem that you can choose, and you'll find a measurements chart that tells you the finished lengths. So it was really easy for me to see which one I had to cut out so I could be happy. Now for the sewing, I used the serger for 95% of the sewing, 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to show you my little hack that I'm doing to the top of the waist to be able to do a yoga waistband. Putting a yoga waistband on there, you have to do something first. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with then I'm going to show you why this took me so long to cut and everything, because I'm matching up some stuff. Super fun. Let's see. The Symphony skirt has a simple finish on the top where you sew the elastic there and then you fold it, and that's how you finish it. So this would be the top of the waist. That would be the waist height right there by folding that in. And because all of these pieces have these shapes, it's not just straight up, it's been trued for that. But I want mine to have yoga waistbands. I prefer a yoga waistband finish to elastic. If I can make the change, I'm going to do it. So it's really easy. I can't just trim this away because this is the original length of the waistband. If I add on a yoga waistband, that means this is going to end up under my bra practically. So I need to reduce the length over here to account for that waistband. So this is about 1.5 inches. I've drawn the line following the curve right there. And then from that, I've drawn 2 inches further down, following the same curve. These are not straight lines. I made several measurements to cut that out. I want my yoga waistband to be 6 centimeters. That would be 2 3/8 right there. That's going to be the length of my yoga waistband right there. But from here, I left 3/8 seam allowance up above here. So basically, measure 1.5 and then 2, and that's what I'm going to cut away. That's how I'm going to end up with the same waist height of the skirt. The waistline is going to be positioned in the same place at my natural waist. It's just that I'm going to have a yoga waistband instead. So I'm going to cut this piece off, all of them. You can see I've marked all my lines on all the 4 pieces. And that's how I'm going to modify the waist to be a yoga waistband instead of folded back with an elastic. I'm going to draw out my yoga waistband, which is the one I typically use. So this is the waistband. This is the finished width of the waistband. It's 12 centimeters, 6 centimeters when it's folded. That's 2 3/8 finished. But then I have to add 3/8 seam allowance on both ends, 3/8, because that's what I use. So I'm going to end up adding 3/8 here and 3/8 on the top. And that's going to be the completed waistband. The length, whatever you need it to be. I like mine to be 4 inches smaller than my waist so that it's nice and snug. I use a knit that has enough spandex to have good recovery and not end up stretching out and deforming over time. So this is what I'm going to use, of course, longer. When you fold this like a yoga waistband, because it's just a rectangle, this is the completed length right here, 2 3/8. Or 6 centimeters plus the seam allowance right there to be able to sew on top. I know some of you need to see to believe that the waistline of the skirt is going to end up exactly like the original. So let's get this back right here. Remember, this is the waistline here because this is what's folded back with the elastic. So let's fold that back. It's a little bit curved, but let's get rid of that. So that is the top of the waist. Let's pretend we're sewing this yoga waistband onto the top of the skirt with a 3/8 seam allowance like this, because this is how it's going to be sewn. So put a few pins, fold it up right there. That's the yoga waistband. This goes right there on the edge and it ends up pretty much the same. So that is how I've done this to not end up with a yoga waistband under my bra. This might hurt your eyes a little bit. I've got to cut 8 panels and each of these I'm going to cut in a single layer to match up the stripes. So what we have here is the center front. There's 2 of these. One of them is the center of the skirt and one side is going to be sewn to the side front. That's the one that has a little line. So I've cut my first one and now I'm going to cut my second one of these pieces using my fabric as a pattern piece and aligning them here on the stripes. I've got the fabrics here wrong sides together. And I'm going to align the stripes both at the bottom and on the sides and on the top, one by one by one, so that the stripes match everywhere. So I'm quite happy with that. All the stripes match up here. They match up right there. Actually, the pattern piece blends into the stripes. You can't even see it. And this is how I'm going to cut my second piece of the center front. The cutting phase is going to take a while just because of my fabric choice, but I think it's going to look stunning. So here I have two pieces that are identical for the both center fronts. Now, this is the seam that goes sewn here for the two front pieces. And when I sew them and match up the stripes, these are going to match up like this in the center. So you're going to have this effect on the stripes here. I think it's going to be really pretty. It means I have to match up all the seams. What I'm doing to match up the side seams is marking on the paper. So this is one of the sides, side front. When I cut the side back, I want these little stripes to match. So I put my paper right here. You can see the black stripes. So I mark one there, I mark one there. These stripes go down. So when I place this one on fabric, I'm going to make sure to match up the positioning of the stripes so that when I sew the seam, they're at the right place. Here are all the pieces for the Symphony skirt. There's 4 pattern pieces. For each pattern piece, we cut twice. So there's 8 panels in this skirt. It's going to stay fitted at the waist and then at the hips, and then it's going to flare out. This is my yoga waistband. I'm actually going to have seams on the sides. It was the way I could cut it from my fabric the best. I'm doing the waistband with the stripes horizontal and the skirt with the stripes vertical. This is an amazing quality athletic knit where the recovery and the stretch is the same horizontally and vertically, so it's not going to affect anything. If my fabric didn't have good vertical stretch or poor recovery, I would not make the stripes go vertical because this is how it's supposed to be. But I'm doing that because this way, the fabric also has amazing stretch and recovery, the same way, both ways. I always do this when I have panels so I don't get confused. This is the center front, so I already have pins there. So I'm going to open this up. So this is how the back's going to look. I'm going to put a pin just to hold them together so that I don't have to think about this. I just have to worry about matching up the stripes. Every piece has little marks to help you match them up. I'm going to show you how I'm matching up each of these seams. You can see the black stripes there. They match up here when I put them together. That was the whole idea. So that's how I'm matching them up. Mostly important in the area that flares out because on the straighter edge, it doesn't really matter that much. But every one of these stripes matches up. And I'm going to be super careful when I serge because when we open this up, we want that triangle effect on each of the stripes. So that's what I'm doing with all the seams here. Now I'm going to go ahead and serge it and let's see how it turns out. I'm sewing one of the many seams for this skirt. I managed to match up the stripes there on the side. I'm serging carefully. And so here's the moment of truth. I was really careful with this. And the whole point of making a skirt like this is to have these match up. And they match up. Yay! So you get this effect on each of these seams. So beautiful. That is the idea for all of these seams. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this skirt together, sew them all up. And I can't wait to finish this. Let me tell you how long this took to cut. It took ages because I had to cut each layer individually. I also had to match up the stripes of the pattern piece that it was going to be sewn to. I had to draw them on the paper, then match them up, and then sewing them as well. I had to match up every single one. So worth it though, and I'm so happy I took the time to do it because I've had this fabric since 2018 and I've had it there for such a long time not knowing what to do with it, and now it's perfect. Ta-da! I love how it turned out. It's mainly white, but it's a white that's super thick and it's not sheer. I don't need to wear a slip or anything underneath. Nothing's going to show because the fabric is so thick and heavy and dense, and the stripes are vertical like that. They do distort a little bit over here. That doesn't matter. What matters is this. At these points, everything matches perfectly. Oh my gosh, so satisfying. The side seams, every single seam that I have matches up like that. And I love, love, love how that looks. I think it looks so cool. It's just such a cool look, isn't it? And even though it took ages, I think it's totally worth it. The fabric is actually like this. This is how I should have cut it, but I cut it the other way around for aesthetic purposes. And also because this fabric is so good that the recovery and the stretch and everything was the same vertically and horizontally. I didn't really see a difference there. When you have fabrics that don't stretch well vertically and you want to turn the fabric around for aesthetic purposes, that's not going to work. But for this one, it definitely did work. And I'm so happy to have a skirt with the stripes going down. I think it's the best look for stripes, according to my opinion. I'm sure I would not like a skirt with the stripes going horizontally, at least for me. I know lots of people love them, but it's not something that I would choose. So I'm so happy. I've styled this many ways, semi-sporty to dressed up, all of that. I know the hanger appeal of yoga waistbands is not there that much because you get all these little like gathering there. It's not gathering, it's just stretching the yoga waistband to match the top. But then when you wear it, it all looks super smooth and it's so comfortable. It feels like you have nothing on there on your waist. So nice. I love it so much. I'm addicted to these yoga waistbands. That's why I just love to put them on things when that option isn't there, like this one. Let's see it on. This is my Symphony skirt from Pattern Emporium. I've paired it with one of my Rise and Shine tops, also from Pattern Emporium. This is a skirt that has 8 panels. I've used an athletic knit with a super nice stripe, vertical stripes, and I've managed to match up all the pieces. You'll see the details up closer. It's fitted at the waist and hips, and sort of at the mid-thigh it starts flaring out. I've changed the waistband to be a yoga waistband. The original one has an elastic folded inside, but I just love yoga waistbands too much. They are just so comfortable and there's no elastic required right there. Check out the details. Every single panel was matched, which means I cut out each of these 8 pieces individually in single layers. It took ages and ages and it also took ages to pin and match, but I think it was so worth it. I love how it turned out. I think the effect on the stripes there is super striking. I was really obsessed with making this as soon as I saw the line art and I knew I had that stripe fabric in my stash. I love that it's fitted at the waist and hips and then you have that beautiful volume. I think it goes really well with this top that has a bit more volume but is a little shorter. Here's a more of a winter look. I can make this skirt work for anything I want really. I've got a really nice pullover here in a stretch velvet with some booties. And I think this would be amazing for autumn and winter, which is what I'm going into right now. So I know a lot of you are into spring and summer, but I'm quite the opposite here. And I know this skirt is gonna work for all the weather I want. Black and white means, of course, I can pair it with any other colors. So I love this combination of the dark red with the black and white skirt. It's not going to just be a summer thing for me, and I love how this looks. I think it looks really cool if I say so myself. Here is a summer look, mostly in white. I've got the Sweet Talker bubble sleeve top from Pattern Emporium in broderie anglaise. It's a high-ish hip length, so I think it's perfect tucked out on top of the skirt, but I could also do a half tuck on the side or on the front. I think it looks really, really sweet and fresh and summery. You can't go wrong here. Love how this looks. The puff on the sleeve matches the volume of the skirt at the bottom, so I think the outfit looks super balanced and I really, really enjoy this one. So nice. Here's another look for summer with a military green top, sleeveless. A nice amount of volume on the top, but also a bit short at the high hip, so I think it's perfect. No need to tuck in. I've got the matching green sandals with little heels, block heels, super perfect. To be honest, I can still wear this. It's still pretty hot. So just one way I can use any color that I want on the top, whether it be a neutral color or something super bright. I think it's going to go perfect with this skirt and it's going to work a billion ways. I could have styled this skirt about 10-20 ways if I really wanted to, but we'll just stick to 5 for now. Here's another look, a little bit more dressed up for autumn with heels. I've got a white cami underneath, a colorful scarf with a matching bag, and a jacket that's perfect for autumn here. This is a ready-to-wear jacket made out of a scuba suede. I think the length of the jacket is perfect with the skirt. I wouldn't want a jacket that's longer that would interfere with the hem and the volume of the skirt. So I think I'm at the limit here in terms of the ease of the jacket and the length of the jacket for this type of skirt. I love how this looks. I love that plum color. You know, just splash any color you want in here and these black and white outfits are going to be always perfect. And I really love this. This would be a perfect church outfit for me. Love how it turned out. I think this type of skirt is perfect for this type of fabric. Now, let me tell you a little story. When I was very little, probably 12, when I was living in the States back then, my mom bought me a rayon fabric. It was woven. It was navy with white stripes, and I sewed a skirt like this. Now, I didn't know anything about matching stripes back then, absolutely nothing. And by sheer chance, all these little stripes matched. When I sewed it, I just sewed it blindly, I cut it blindly, and on some of the panels, the stripes matched. And it was such a light bulb moment for me back then as a child, thinking, how cool is that? That looks so cool. And that's actually when I started paying more attention to the way I was cutting. Although you can't fault me, I was only a child. You know, I was more impulsive. I wanted to get things done fast. It's amazing the impact that little details like that can make on a garment. And I'm so happy I continued my journey of sewing and learning more and never losing that will to look for details and to take the extra time to make something special like this. I could have chosen just a print or just a solid and been done with this skirt in no time. But, you know, taking the extra time to sew this was so worth it for me. And it's going to be an amazing special skirt that I'm going to love for ages. I don't have many stripy things in my wardrobe, so this is going to be super nice to have.